All right, we're gonna do our Akuma review video now, and one sec, let me grab my notes here. So I know I'm a little late to the party on this one, but I have been playing Akuma ever since the character has been released, and oh boy, did I ever play so many Akuma mirror matches. So I have a pretty good understanding of the character now, and of course he's extremely popular. But I want to talk about his design, the stuff I like about his design in this game, some things I don't really like about his design, and then of course we'll talk about his strengths, his weaknesses like we usually do, and I'll talk about his general power. You know, is he top tier? Where is he on the tier list? All that yada yada. We'll be talking about everything here. So, all right, let's start with his gameplay design. I really like the parallel, at least the way I see it, the parallel between Akuma and Ryu, especially in the gameplay trailer where Akuma has a lot of similar attacks to Ryu, but you can see they both chose a different path. You know, he's got like similar looking buttons and he's got target combos, but you know, they're all a little bit better. You know, he's got a fireball, but he can do it in the air. And of course, the extra Akuma utility that we all know and love, and extra combo utility. And this new Hashogeki move, I'm gonna be calling it Hashogeki, but I know it's like the fire palm move. And I also know it's from Tekken 7 apparently, but I really love the contrast between this move and Ryu's Hashogeki. I think it's all really sick. I also really like that all of Akuma's buttons feel useful in some way, shape, or form. They all have their uses and they hit like different spots on the hurt box, and I really like that design of Akuma, where it's not just, you know, low forward. His target combos are all really sick. This standing medium punch target combo, everything kind of has a use to it. His forward heavy punch target combo is so cool, especially in the corner where you can juggle after it. Like, hold on, if the opponent is near the corner, you can convert like this way with his target combo. I think that's so sick. You can surprise players with his overhead kick, but at the same time his overhead kick is like good for extension, like juggles with his level 2. Like doing something like this. I really like. And we actually see this with Bison too. The same thing with his overhead causing a juggle state. Capcom seems to really like that. And a lot of interesting juggle stuff that he can do. I think Capcom's done a good job distinguishing Akuma between the other 3 Shotos in the game, Luke, Ryu, and Ken. And Akuma is supposed to be like the Swiss Army knife, has all the tools at a big cost, glass cannon kind of character. I feel that Capcom has still captured that feeling of Akuma, and I'm so happy that he has the lowest health in the game. Okay, so after playing Akuma for a couple of weeks now, I don't think his design is perfect though. There are some flaws, in my opinion, about him that I wish was a little bit better. And the first one, I think, is Akuma's mid-screen combo structure. I think could have definitely been a lot cooler in Street Fighter 6. So I'm going to directly compare him to Street Fighter 5 Akuma, because they're both kind of similar. And Akuma in Street Fighter 5 had a lot of interesting mid-screen conversions because of his V-Skill 1. You know, you would stand the opponent, launch him with the V-Skill 1 kick, and then he could do like side switch with Tatsu uppercut. His demon flip actually hit the opponent on the way up. So I can go Tatsu into demon flip and push the opponent into the corner with it. There was a lot of cool fancy stuff. Akuma's also able to easily combo into heavy Tatsu after light Tatsu. It wasn't like corner only kind of thing. And I just feel like his combo structure in Street Fighter 5 had more depth in the mid-screen part. I feel like in Street Fighter 6 is kind of a step down. And to double down on that, you can really see it when the opponent is crouching as well. When the opponent is crouching, Akuma is pretty limited on what he can do because his Tatsu's whiff on croucher. And in Street Fighter 5 it was the same, but in Street Fighter 5 his medium Tatsu actually hit crouchers. So you would always have some type of option. In Street Fighter 6 his OD Tatsu also whiffs on crouchers. The only thing you could do is the heavy Tatsu, but of course you have to be point blank, which is scary. Now if this thing whiffs, I mean, you're bread, right? So you're basically forced to either do uppercut or just normal fireball, or if you're doing a crouching light punch, you can do a light Hashogeki. This does not combo from the standing light punch, unfortunately. So I feel like, in my opinion, Akuma shouldn't be a character that has any limitations on his combo conversions. You know, there's even some cases with like Akira in Street Fighter 5 where she'd get even more combos if the opponent is crouching. And I don't think, I think with Akuma, with, you know, like I said, the weakness that he has, he should have the most conversions. Unless you want to argue that maybe Evil Ryu or Kage is like the combo character, but I feel like it's a step down from Street Fighter 5. And with Street Fighter 5 in general, I just feel like if we look at the other DLC characters, I feel like Akuma is too simple. Maybe that's by design. Like, once again, this is just my opinion. Like, simple can be good, especially since he's a Shoto character. But if we look at the history of Akuma's kit, when Street Fighter 5, man, between that V-Skill 1, it had a lot of depth to it. It wasn't just a kick move, it was also a palm smash. It was also an armor absorbing move. And then Akuma's V-Skill 2 was so sick. He can charge his V-Skill 2. It also had a hitbox. Basically, Akuma does like a big taunt and he goes, Miss Suts. And the fire did a hit and he was able to combo to it. And when you look at all the other DLC characters in Street Fighter 6, they have like all their V-Skills brought to their kit. But Akuma, for some reason, lost them both, you know, and he's supposed to be the Swiss Army knife character. He just has his back heavy kick, right? And his back heavy kick does have some cool combos that you can juggle into from like the OD air fireball. Like, there is some sick stuff, but that's mostly when you land big conversions from like OD moves or corner stuff. It's not really mid-screen stuff that he gets to do that. So I just feel like if we directly compare it to Street Fighter 5, I feel like Capcom could have went a little more overboard on making Akuma feel like just completely bloated on his kit, you know? They even combine some of his moves like with his charged fireball. So like I said, it's just an opinion thing. Feel free to disagree. I just feel like Akuma, compared to the other DLC characters, they're becoming more and more complicated. And I feel like Akuma is just a little too simple. With that being said, though, let's talk about his strengths, because I do feel like Akuma is very strong. Akuma's movement speed is ridiculous. His forward walk speed is the fastest in the game. Besides Kimberly level 3 buff, Akuma's forward walk speed is amazing. So he's a very scary character movement-wise compared to the other Shotos. Also, Akuma's fireballs are insane. I remember when I first saw the footage of people playing Akuma and just seeing his heavy fireball speed is nuts. I'm surprised they made his zoning so good. Because, you know, Ryu traditionally has, like, the best fireballs, but, like, Akuma has, like, the utility of the air fireball. But his heavy fireball is so nuts. And his OD fireball is really, really good, too. And then, of course, on top of that, you can charge his fireball to do multiple hits. And the air fireball, even though it does have some counters, it adds a lot of mental stack, and it allows him to get in and deal with other zoners at interesting trajectories and blow them up. So definitely one of Akuma's best strengths is his zoning and his fireball game. It is very, very good. Another thing that's really strong about Akuma, of course, is his demon flip. It's changed a bit in Street Fighter 6, but damn, this thing, honestly, once again, there's counters to Akuma's demon flip. Like, everything has kind of a counter where you can anti-air it, or you can check it if it crosses you up, but it really keeps your opponent on their toes. And if you throw this out randomly, but if you throw this out carefully, it's really hard for your opponent to stop it every time. And this is what really sets apart Akuma, and it's very rewarding. If, like, for example, if they block the overhead, you're still +5. Insanely plus. You can delay this to the last second before Akuma touches the ground, and you can blow up people for doing delay tech, right? Or pressing a button. His demon flip, the strength determines 3 different ranges. And the kick button determines 3 different ranges as well. So when Akuma players get better and they start understanding the correct spacing to get this dive kick to hit the toes, which I'm having problems doing, Akuma can be a huge menace, and it makes a lot of people second guess their anti-airs. It's very tricky, and at first I wasn't using Demon Flip too much, but now I'm starting to use it all the time, and I'm really starting to see its potential. Another obvious strength of Akuma is his damage output is insane. Akuma wasn't really known for damage output, it was more about the utility, but dude, Akuma does massive damage. I've made so many comebacks, like, especially when he has level 3, kind of like Ryu, basically. If you land a fat jump in with Akuma, he gets the heavy conversions that do so much damage. You can definitely make a lot of comebacks on if your opponent messes up big time. It's actually really good. His mid-screen like conversions aren't insane damage-wise, but like I said, if you have full meter, he's very scary. And his corner combo damage is absolutely absurd. It's so easy to combo into the OD Hashogeki, the fire palm, and he has very easy conversions that do a lot of damage and give him Oki, whether he's +5 here or you could do something else that leads into like, you know, a safe jump setup when you can't combo into light tatsu into sweep. Like I can go, hold on, let's see here. I can do something like this into sweep and I get a safe jump from this, +42. So his like corner combo stuff is nuts. If you cash out and you have level 3, you can do massive damage. You can do something like, I don't know, if the opponent's like stunned or whatever, you can go like massive damage, massive conversion. And it's very flexible too. Like at any point, I can stop the combo short and easily combo to either level 1, level 2, level 3. Very flexible in that regard. And then the last thing is Raging Demon. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there downplaying Raging Demon and saying, you know, it's not invincible. It's not invincible anymore. But guys, Raging Demon is insane. You can ask my chat. My success rate on landing Demon is like 98%. I have made so many comebacks with Raging Demon, it's not even funny. The thing is like, of course you can't throw it out willy-nilly and do like a baby demon mid-screen. You have to obviously set it up. But whenever Akuma gets a knockdown, and it's very easy for Akuma to get a knockdown, anything, you combo the Tatsu, there is a threat of a 50-50. Every time. Every single time. You can simply just dash. Like, just go like 1, 2, dash into Demon like this. I think you could, yeah, you can do this for sure. You just gotta be fast. There we go. But anytime you dash forward is a threat to do Demon, basically. You can do like a block screen on someone, and then, you know, boom, and then do Demon on them. And in the corner, too. Once again, I told you guys how Akuma has save jumps, right? He can, at any time, if I do any kind of knockdown, you could do a kill frame into Demon. I've landed Demon like this a million times. And it does massive damage. It does more than Akuma's CA level 3. And it gives him the same exact Oki. So after I land Demon, you're standing at the perfect spot to make a comeback, even if it doesn't kill. But it already does massive damage. Or, you know, you could do a meaty standing heavy punch, you can do an overhead and finish them up. It's really good. And block string stuff too, but that's a little bit more advanced, but you can do like medium punch, +1, and micro walk into Demon. I'm not on that level yet, but just doing like good old dash Demon, or even standing light kick, canceling the Demon like this. The opponent can check you, but it's so fast. I see pros land this all the time. Even pros are doing this, so I think Raging Demon is really strong in this game. Okay, moving on, guys. Let's talk about Akuma's weaknesses. What are Akuma's weaknesses, guys? Obviously, Akuma's health is probably his biggest weakness, which raises a lot of questions, right? Akuma has 9,000 health when the average character has 10,000 health. And some characters even have more than 10,000 health, like Marisa, Honda, and Zangief. So this game is pretty volatile. Like if you know, you start off every round with full drive meter. So, you know, getting jumped in on once with Akuma, or messing up a DP, or guessing wrong on a reversal can be death for this character. Can you imagine if the top tier characters didn't get the scaling nerfs they did in Season 2? How fast Akuma would die, man. I'm sure you guys have seen hilarious like Marisa one-touch death combos on Akuma. But yeah, it's definitely a big factor that Akuma takes so much damage. It's very risky. You can get two-touched basically, and if you're in the corner or if you're being put in burnout, Akuma is just very delicate. So you'll find yourself when you play Akuma that you'll either win hard or lose hard kind of thing. And another problem with the low health is that even though Raging Demon is really strong, you can only do it when he has CA. So the problem is that I find myself playing Akuma where it's hard to make comebacks because a lot of times I'll be dead before I see my health bar turn yellow, you know, because the opponent does so much damage in Street Fighter 6, right? Every character is capable of cashing out with a lot of damage just because of the drive system. There's a lot of low risk, high reward situations in Street Fighter 6 with like low forward drive rush and drive rush in general. So, and the corner game, it's very scary. So yeah, that the low health is definitely a factor for Akuma. But when you do have CA, his comeback factor goes way up, if that makes any sense what I'm saying. Like, because the demon and because his like I said, his cash out combos and corner combos do so much damage. If that opportunity arises, right? Which obviously I don't have control over. Now, another thing you guys are probably going to bring up is there's been a lot of talks among pros checking out Akuma, especially Ken players, and you guys will hear, you know, top players like Angry Bird and Tokido talking about trying Akuma and dropping him. So I'm going to start directly comparing Akuma to Ken now, because Ken, despite what Ken players saying that he is the weakest Shoto, Ken is probably the strongest Shoto, in my opinion, overall in stability and tournament usage. And that's why Ken players are sticking with the character right now over Akuma. So Tokido recently made an announcement that that he's going to be a Ken main for now. And Angry Bird as well is going to stick with Ken. Now, part of the reason is obviously CPT is about to start, guys. These players have put more than a year into Ken. And we have some giant tournaments coming up, including a $1 million tournament in August. And of course, the CPT. So as a professional player, it is quite risky to drop a character that you know is very stable, very tournament friendly, and take a risk and learn a new character, even though Akuma is a Shoto. So that is one obvious reason. I don't think Tokido is not going to play Akuma forever. I think Tokido will eventually check him out, and you know, if there's some minor nerfs to Ken or minor buffs to Akuma in the future, Akuma buffs, guys, can you imagine? I can see that changing, right? A lot of things will change over the year. One thing about Akuma, weakness wise, is I feel like, remember, we're directly comparing to Ken now, is I don't think he's got the sticking power that Ken has. So Akuma, when you're pressuring with lights and you're doing your standing mean punch, which is +1, you don't have much to stick to the opponent and keep them from walking back on you and defending you. So if I do like medium punch, you know, I gotta tiptoe forward with Akuma, and even though my walk speed is fast, I'm only +1, and my crouching light kick is 5 frames. Whereas Ken, he's doing like low forward, 7-frame low forward into Jinrai kicks and going bam, bam, and he's sticking to you. He's pressuring you. With Akuma, if I do low forward, my low forward's 8 frames, and I only have like fireball, right? Or I have to spend bar. If I do light hash Shogeki, it's -8, medium is -4. The heavy is very slow, but it's safe. So I feel like when Ken is pressuring you mid-screen, you think you're in a safe range against Ken, but then all of a sudden he can do run step kick, run overhead kick, Jinrai kick, Dragon Lash kick. There is so much sticking power with Ken, and that's why Ken's a really powerful character even when he's in burnout. And you can really see this when you're in the corner. Now, Akuma's corner game is amazing. By the way, I forgot to mention that. What's it called? In the strengths, his corner conversions are amazing. But his corner sticking power, I don't think is as good as Ken's. Now, when Akuma has you in the corner, you use his movement speed to blow up your opponent. So you use your movement speed, you wait for him to press a button, and you whiff punish them, and you hit them really, really hard, right? You can convert into a lot of great stuff for a lot of damage, and you get really good Oki. This is good for Akuma. It's some of the best in the game, actually, after he knocks you down. But I'm talking about the corner game in general. When your opponent is here in the corner waiting for you, and you're trying to keep them in, I feel like Ken does this much better, because I can't just, if I do commit and I use heavy hash Shogeki, I basically lose my turn, right? And it's slow. And I have my medium kick, but it's not going to convert into much. and I don't have anything to really pressure except for fireballs. You're supposed to use Akuma's movement speed. Now, I have been using Demon Flip a lot, trying to mix in some Demon Flips in there to pressure that way, and I have noticed it works pretty well. But once again, I don't think it's as strong as Ken's. Now with Ken, let me switch to Ken real quick just so I can really show this. The way Ken works is Ken can also, you know, whiff punish you while in the corner, but if he hits you with one heavy kick, man, you can blow people up with, you know, drive rush and convert into a lot of damage that way. But at the same time, he's willing you down because he's got that 7-frame low forward and he's going like this Jinrai kick, right? You're blocking this. Even if you block this correctly, he can still open you up with the overhead, right? He can like run overhead kick you, run step kick you, right? And once again, Dragon Lash kick. There's a lot of mental stack here. And while Kent's whittling you down like this, right? Doing these safe moves or heavy punch, confirming heavy punch, you're draining drive meter. And that's what I mean. Like, you eventually have to do something, otherwise Ken's gonna put you in burnout, and then, you know, it's game over, right? On top of the throw loops and pressure that he has. Whereas I feel like with Akuma, I can't do that as effectively. Now, I'm not trying to downplay Akuma, guys. I'm not trying to say Akuma's weak. I'm just trying to directly compare Akuma to Ken and justifying why pros are sticking with Ken, right? I have my step kick, but like, if I punish counter with it, I can sweep, but that's like the best I can do here. I guess I can go raw level 2 if I'm close enough. And if I want to have any sticking power, I gotta spend bar, right? Like, after I throw them, I can dash forward, back heavy kick, right, into red fireball, or I can go crouching fierce into OD fireball and convert it that way. Or I think I can go into sweep actually from this too, and get the safe jump. So Akuma's corner game is good, but he just doesn't have that added flair of draining the opponent's drive meter. I think that's a really big deal, especially in a game like Street Fighter 6. So let's move on now. Let's talk about some other weaknesses. And by the way, guys, I'm really nitpicking here. Okay, like once again, I think Akuma's strong, but I'm nitpicking between Ken and Akuma, just to be clear, because I think a lot of people are gonna yell at me for like talking about all these Akuma weaknesses. Akuma's side switch conversions are not as good. I feel like the best thing after I hit somebody with DI, meter efficiency wise, is just the back throw them. And Akuma's back throw is really good. You get a meaty forward heavy punch, which is nice, but it's not on the same caliber as Ken. Ken escape in the corner. If he hits you with a jab, easy side switch combo. So Akuma, like, most of the time I'm trying to go for like demon flip to side switch and making them block the sweep and hoping for that. But I noticed his side switch. He does have side switch combos, but they require a lot of meter. I noticed they're not as efficient for a character that's supposed to have so much utility. Finally, Street Fighter 6 meta stuff is his drive rush is slow. That's definitely one of the biggest ones, especially if we compare it directly to Ken. I feel like using neutral drive rush with Akuma is just not nearly effective. You can go for, you know, a crouching light kick, standing medium kick, which is one of the better conversions you can do. And of course, drive rush overhead, excellent crutch. You can blow people up if you can figure out a way to keep your opponent not paying attention to it. But besides that, you know, drive rush jab is just not going to be as effective as Ken. And even though his standing medium punch could be like, you know, +5 on block, I just feel like it's so stubby using this button that you're just not going to have that pressure where you're like, Ken drive rush heavy punch and he's like right in your face kind of thing. So in Street Fighter 6, you know, your drive rush speed is very, very important. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much off the top of my head on strengths, weaknesses, and his design. So let's talk about Akuma's overall power now. I hope I didn't sound too negative, guys. I just tried to be objective with myself between the pros and cons on his design. And so with that all being said, guys, I think that Akuma is easily top tier. I think he's one of the best characters in the game. I think he's very, very strong. Despite like the weaknesses I mentioned, it doesn't change the fact that his zoning is absolutely insane. It's so powerful, man. Even though like he's a character that will die from a jump in, when you're doing a close fireball like this, it is so difficult for your opponent to guess the jump. It's really, really hard. And even though I mentioned players like Tokido and Angry Bird deciding to use Ken instead, there's players like Daigo, actually, who's been a Ken main all this time for Street Fighter 6, that looking like he's sticking with Akuma. It's the opposite. And it makes perfect sense when you think about it, because Daigo is really known for his excellent zoning game. And since Akuma's zoning is better than Ken's, I think it's a better choice for Daigo to actually stick with Akuma. He's having a lot of success with the character. So there's still hope, Akuma bros. And of course, he's well-rounded. He still has a dry rush low forward. He still does massive damage. He's got an overhead and lots of utilities to get around zoning. And just so many ways to get in on you. Excellent throw loop game in the corner. He can combo his supers so easily. All three of them. All from like his B&Bs. A lot of options to close out rounds, and a lot of ways of keeping our toes. His teleport command grab is actually really good. I thought it'd be pretty gimmicky when we first saw the footage of it, but no, this is still legit. If your opponent is sleeping or uses a lot of parry, this is excellent. It's not a gimmick at all. It's very, very good. So yeah, I think Akuma is very, very strong, top tier for sure. But as of right now, I think Ken is a little more stable and more well-rounded. For matchup stuff, I haven't had any big problems matchup-wise. I feel like Akuma is strong enough where he can handle every character. But if I were to choose his worst matchup, I think Cammy might be a problem for Akuma. And that makes sense because Cammy does really good against Shotos in general. So I think just the fact that Cammy is good against zoners, and even though her mid-screen damage is pretty low, against Akuma, Cammy is even more scary. So you don't have as much time to escape Cammy playing Akuma. So yeah, I think Cammy is definitely up there. Zangief. Okay, in theory, I will go on record here, guys, and I think Akuma destroys Zangief, but yes, if you make one mistake against Zangief, you're dead. Okay, but I think if you know how to properly utilize Akuma's heavy fireball and you play the match in the highest level, I think Akuma beats Zangief. Because Akuma's buttons can definitely hang with Zangief's, definitely. And Akuma's sweep is actually very strong. But yeah, I guess let's wrap it up then. I've yapped enough. Make sure you guys share your thoughts on me on what you guys think about Akuma. Basically just cover the same thing. Like, tell me what you guys think his pros and weaknesses are, and what design choices you guys think, unless you think he's perfect, and what it would take to get people to play him in the future. But yeah, I'll continue to play Akuma and release some guides in the future, and yeah, we'll chat about him again when if Capcom does any balance changes to him.